It's v.h.s.x. What do you mean?
Alright everybody, welcome back to a brand new video. Today we have a video suggested from Rocket that is talking about this new Black Banquet event that just released. And as you guys know, pretty much haven't been playing any of this game outside of streams, and therefore didn't even realize that the mode has even been released. And for good reason. Like I've said in previous videos, I would prioritize my own mental and physical health over going on a game that is just going to only frustrate, and I don't think it's worth wasting my time, especially because it is indeed a waste of time to play the game. So with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and give it a listen from theMrHeadache here, who at least will give a bit of an explanation as to what's going on, or like what it is that we're sort of looking for within this. And overall, I think that I'm not surprised that it's a mess.
About it. First, let's tackle the elephant in the room, the toothy tort, or the lack thereof of said toothy torts. I'm sure you all noticed today that the toothy tort, the 10th anniversary offering, has been nerfed to a very rare offering. Why does this matter, you may ask? Well, each rarity in Dead by Daylight makes everything substantially more expensive as you go up tier to tier to tier in rarity. This means that it is far more expensive to buy the toothy tort than it was the coconut scream pie. That's what it was. Yeah, the coconut scream pie from last year. It's far more expensive, meaning you're getting less of the event offering on average.
So right off the bat, the one thing that people play the event for is now getting shot in the foot, because why? Just fuck you, I guess. That's why. God forbid you decided to play the event specifically for blood point gain for whatever reason, which, mind you, I don't really see the point of even grinding blood points anymore at this point. I have nothing to get, nothing to grind for. But with that being said, however, I understand that, well, I actually don't understand, rather. I don't understand why they decided to increase the amount of BP it costs. That doesn't make sense. Like, that just makes no sense. I just don't understand that. Like, the idea of having these pies in the first place and all these cake offerings, whatever nonsense, is in order to get the blood point gain. So why are we then reducing the blood point gain for, like, by increasing its cost? That makes no sense. Whatever.
This, unlike something that we'll talk about soon, realistically can't really be explained away as a bug. This seems to be an intentional move from Behaviour to nerf the amount of toothy torts that are entering the game from this event. I find this move to be extremely puzzling, and that's me putting it as kindly as I possibly can. Gathering the event offerings and stacking them and trying to make them last as long as possible is one of, if not the main attraction of the anniversary events every year.
Quite literally, yes. That's the main reason people play the event. That's what they're there for. They don't care about the other nonsense and bull. They care more about the actual offering itself, so that outside of the event,
webs just aren't spawning those torts as much as they should, but realistically there's more. The biggest one that frustrated me was that Shane's Adept was not available for like the first 3 hours of his release. I kept getting the Adept over and over and over, and I kept checking my Steam. I'm like, oh, this isn't popping up, and I searched the little like Steve achievements bar because you could search for specific ones, and like there wasn't Shane wasn't in there at all, and I was like, is this not up yet? No, and it wasn't, and it was confirmed that that was not the case, because 3 hours later, it suddenly started working. But why was his Adept just gone for the first 3 hours of his release? That was really weird. In addition, speaking of things that aren't there that should be, Doctor has that one bug back again, where survivors cannot snap out of Madness Tier 3 during the event, so he has been kill switched. This is a double.
So not only is a low-tier trash killer immediately kill switch because of a bug, quote unquote, then on top of that, the Adept doesn't even unlock, which, mind you, speaking as somebody who plays on both the PC and the console versions, for those of you that are unaware, the PS4 version and PS5 versions are supposed to be able to sort of have cross progression and your trophies that you gained on the PS4 version will pop on the PS5 version, and if you play on the PS5 version, it'll pop the ones on the PS4 version automatically. That has not been completely the case. I have all the trophies on the PS5 version completed, but I can't complete the PS4 versions ones because it's glitched where it doesn't actually register any of the progression that I made for those things. So it's just sitting there not progressed on the PS4 version of the game. There's nothing I can really do about it because I'm not going to go through and redo everything that it asks for, because it asks for like multiple adepts. It asks for like the 3 blink and grab achievement. It's a big pain. I'm like, I'd rather not go through all that effort again and again and again. It's just such a pain. Not even worth it. But regardless, let's go ahead and continue on here because I'm not really surprised, right? So let's actually listen to the event mode because I don't know anything about the event itself.
Ooh, buckle up, here we go. Now we get to the meat and potatoes of the 10th anniversary. How is the Black Banquet event itself? Screenshots linked incredibly early on showed that the effects of the game mode looked kind of bleak to play. So, were they? Well, you've probably already started typing your comment down below about how awful your event experience has been, and on paper, certainly, that has to be the case, but for some reason, I don't know, I had fun today. Yeah, I know, right? Me, Brand, theMrHeadache, the hypercritical DVD commentary YouTuber, actually enjoyed the event's weaker side. Is it opposite day or what's going on here? I don't know. I even asked my chat, I'm like, guys, why am I enjoying this? What is going on? Everybody's having such an awful time, and everybody's coming into my chat to talk to me about how much they are disgusted by the event and how awful of a time they're having, and I'm just having a good time. I kind of feel bad. I feel terrible that I was smiling and laughing and enjoying myself while everybody else was having a terrible time. I think what I can talk about here is how much fun I had using little poison, quote unquote, snowballs or whatever that you get in the killer mode. They have this fun little effect that you throw them just like the snowballs from the snowball event, where like you can either just chuck them or you can hold the button to try and like arc them up over and around stuff, which has its own like kind of skill floor thing to it, which is very neat. But the main thing that the poison balls do is that when they hit the survivor, they give them a stamina bar, which is a very highly requested feature that has been talked about off and on throughout DB's history. As
I would hope that they take the feedback from this event, because they have done this before with events. Like, they'll test out certain things that they plan on adding into the game later on through anniversary events and other things like that. That's where the smoke bombs came from. That's where we got the pallet repairs. We got that for 2v8, as well as a perk that can allow you to do that. Similar to a party pallet, like the Walking Dead chapter had brought in like a temporary pallet repair. So when it would be used, it would repair the pallet, but then it would immediately get destroyed afterwards. So the idea of actually giving survivors a stamina bar would be nice. So in the sense that if it were to allow where they cannot continue running forever, because that's what they currently can do, they can shift W, meta, and fly off for free. I would love it if they made the stamina bar sort of function around how much movement that you're putting into the bar, and then you have to recharge it, right? So what I'm trying to at least think about is, if you're going to implement that sort of thing, you need to make it so that exhaustion perks make your stamina run out really fast. You literally cannot keep running anymore afterwards, because you already have the distance created from that, so you don't necessarily need to have a gigantic, like, you know, continue running at full speed even after you're done. Like, that doesn't make any sense, especially with something like sprint burst. Like, you should be completely, like, you know, running or even walking at that point because of how fast you're running. Stuff like that to help balance out the shift W meta bullshit that we've been seeing nonstop. I think that would be a huge change that we definitely should be asking for, and that we should get, because it's going to be a good idea. And if hopefully it can counter the shift W pre-drop bullshit that they've added in, considering Behavior has already stated that they have no plans of actually changing it.
It's a good way to balance exhaustion perks and haste on the survivor side is that if you're under the effects of these things, you will eventually run out of the ability to run. They've actually implemented this as a function in this event mode if you're hit by the poison ball. So it's very funny because you don't get a lot of run time before suddenly you slow down to, I'm kidding you not joking, not exaggerating for humor, you go down to like 5% speed. Like the survivor is going like literally 1 foot a second. Like they are so slow.
That needs to be in the game. 100%. 100% needs to be added into the game right very now. It needs to, because that's going to at least bring in some actual brain power required to play the survivor side, because you do not need to use your brain when you play that broken ass side.
Free hits, all that wonderful stuff. I will say 2 things though, which I'm sure you're already saying, because you're like, I can't believe you like this. Oh, I hate this guy now. hold on, slow down. Poisoning the food trays is useless. So the other use for the poison that you get is literally pointless, because unless you've noticed that a bunch of survivors are all going to the same food tray, poisoning the food trays does nothing. It's just kind of like a big RNG toss-up.
Are we really surprised that anything that involves the killer side having anything at all is made completely useless or pointless or not even worth even discussing in conversation? No, we are not surprised. We already know what they favor. Doesn't matter what people say, doesn't matter how people disagree. The facts speak for themselves. Okay? Why is it that any of the killer stuff does nothing? Every time, it does nothing. You get nothing. For no reason. Every time. I don't know why. It's always useless. I don't get it. I don't understand. And even worse so, like, it's the lower tier killers are even more so non-existent in their thought process.
Will somebody come to this? Will they not? No, who knows? And the value is just a complete toss-up, and realistically, you should just save all your poison just for throwing them at the survivors. You should never poison a tray outside of getting the challenge, so you can get more, banquet trinkets to spend in the store. Otherwise, just throw the poison at the survivors directly. I did have an idea, though. I almost forgot about this. I did have an idea, though. If they could add like an oppression, the perk oppression style effect, where if you poison one tray, it like hits the next 2 or 3 closest, that'd be pretty all right. That way you can kind of do like some area map control shenanigans.
But you know that behavior would never do that, because that's actually benefiting the killer in some way, shape, and form. They're completely against that. You already know that. They've already shown that they will never do that. That God, but God forbid, like something that fucks with the survivor's experience. Oh hell no! We gotta immediately put the patch in, boys. Get it in. That'd be a good idea, and I feel like that wouldn't be too hard to implement. So steal that if that'll help. Spice of life, man. And now we get to the fun part, because you may be wondering, wow, if killers get only 2 things they can do with their power, one being the only viable thing to do, so realistically only one, what do survivors get? Clearly only 1 or 2, right? Do you know how this game works? Survivors, for their event activities, can get... This is for eating a morsel, so eating for a little plate here. Increased action speed, a dash of speed like Old Dead Heart, becoming briefly invincible and revealing nearby pallets, becoming briefly invisible. I will say the invisible one isn't too bad once you notice that you can still hear them, and if they're moving through grass, you can still track them. But wow. You 4 things off of... Wow. I'm not even surprised anymore, dude. I call this every damn day, dude. How can anybody in their right fucking mind say that this game doesn't favor Survivor when even the events give survivors 15 different effects for doing one thing? Killer got 1 effect, because the second effect does nothing, because nobody's going to get poisoned from eating the food. Like, come on now.
Something they can do instantaneously that's pretty good. And then we're not even done there, because we have to get down to the global banquet payoff. So this is what happens when you stack 4 plates on a table, and then you give a world buff to everybody on your team for a minute. This includes all survivors heal health state instantly, and all actions are faster, including moving while near another survivor. All survivors heal instantly and get a random item, and then briefly become invisible. And then this is the one... Ooh, this is the one that is a doozy. Survivors heal instantly and gain the ability to rebuild and reset pallets, and then, like that wasn't already good enough, no pallets can be broken for a full minute. I'm not exaggerating.
Yeah, I mean, it goes without saying, right? And then, you know, it's really funny because it's like when people ask me like about the game or what do I think of this or that, I mean, just this is just all I can say, bro. I'm glad I don't play the game. I'm glad I don't play the game. I'm glad I don't like the game. I'm glad that I'm moving on to other stuff in the process. If you're interested in Marvel Rivals content, I have a channel for that. That's linked in the description and also the end screen. I have another channel that I'm working on that talks about it's literally just like video essay content and shit like that, just going over my experience with like certain games and talking about them and stuff like that. Hard to describe, I guess, but it's coming up. I'm still in the process of writing a bunch of scripts and trying to get as much information as I can about different games I want to talk about, and those will be coming in, I would hope, maybe once a week if I could really get it done, depending on the length of the video. But yeah, like, it's not looking too hot for any killer players. I mean, what's the point, dude? Like, what is the point? It's just sad. Like, it really is just sad just seeing how this game is unfolded and how this game is sort of forming into what it is. And I'm not even remotely surprised that the event is this horrible. Like, honestly.
Listen, I had fun during this event. I'm not exaggerating. This is probably one of the worst ideas that Behaviour has had in a long bad history of bad ideas. This is already bad enough because if you throw Shaq Pallet against a killer, you can just freeze it and then it's just frozen, so they have to go all the way around Shaq, making that just an unwinnable chase. But because of the fact that survivors also have the ability to rebuild pallets, they're fragile pallets, but they rebuild pallets, they can fill the other side of Shaq door with a pallet, throw it, it gets stuck, and then that one gets stuck, leaving it to where you only have the ability to vault through a window in Shaq to get in or out to chase survivor, meaning you just shouldn't chase them there. I had this happen today during a Myers match where I had to just continually keep leaving this Nia because RNG kept saying, hey, pallets are blocked, guys, and they just kept either rebuilding or full throttling or locking down Shaq pallet. And I was just like, every time I go back there, I'm like, okay, I guess I just can't chase back here.
So I want to go ahead and let you guys watch the rest of the video on your own. I did skip around. Original videos linked in the description, of course. If you want to check out the other channels that aren't about this god-awful piece of shit game, then go ahead and check those out. Of course, please do. And consider becoming a member on YouTube or Patreon. And I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, let's go ahead and read off these wonderful members. We got Patreon, Crow Vader. All my YouTube members, Brando, Evil Blade, Cap Courteous, WTF You're Not J-Lo, Evil Peach, Hargan Falcon, Dole Whip, Noxus, Zero Mocker, Jack, Christian, and Crow Vader. Really appreciate you guys supporting, man. And if you also subbed on Twitch, just know that you got love coming your way too. Appreciate you guys, man.